If you're someone that struggles creating their own VTuber model, whether you have no idea where to start, or you feel like you can't decide on what design to go for, then this might just be for you. Before we start, I think it's important to acknowledge why is this issue happening in the first place. So personally, I was very indecisive with my character design, and I never really felt any close connection to the characters that I was creating, because I'm talking about the process of creating your original character. And here's what I believe what happened. I first of all compared myself with a bigger artist, which is a big mistake. Please don't do what I did. And I had little confidence in my own skills. But that wasn't really the case if I look back at some of my designs. My brain was just downright stupid. I'll explain how I managed to get out of this unhealthy mindset and finally be confident enough in creating a character that I truly resonated with. I always went with the flow without following any set tips. So I told myself, okay, maybe I need to learn some basics first before jumping the bridge. And boy, am I glad I did. It opened so many doors for me. There are two simple big steps in the process of creating your character. The first are the basics. So I looked into character design tutorials and VTuber design tips. I followed Ross Draw's 5 tips for character design and illustration master course, as well as Art Senpai's art tips from a $90 class. I highly recommend you watch them as it helped me funding my very ideas of what a character design actually means. Remember, everything I learned in their videos, I applied in the same time with VTuber design tips. And this is exactly where we're going to start to build our confidence while we are going to learn the VTuber design tips. Now, I've seen a lot of people arrange these steps differently, and this is my personal preferences of how to do it. We first of all start with the theme and aesthetic. And what's the easiest way to choose this than to look at your own self, real life speaking, and ask yourself, what do you like in real life as clothing styles or as accessories, or what do you like to see in other characters you see on the internet, like anime characters or other VTubers. Choose a theme that you feel attracted to, and even something that you feel like you could be confident in wearing outside too, even though we're speaking about anime clothing style here, but you get my point. What I'm trying to say here is that our VTuber is representing us, so the more preferences we implement, the better. Even if we transform these... I'm sorry, I got sick meantime I'm recording this. Even if we transform these in order to fit the VTuber medium, it's going to create a much easier path towards creating your first VTuber character. As you've probably noticed already, I really like space and alternative clothing, so that's what I went with. And most importantly, if you like a theme that's already popular or very often used, like, I don't know, cat VTubers for example, don't be afraid to choose it. You can make it work out. Trust. Once you choose your theme, we're gonna go and talk about the color palette. We are once again going to ask ourselves, what's your favorite color? Just like those lame Tinder questions. What's your favorite color? Just implement what you like most. And I chose purple, as if that wasn't obvious enough. Take some time to actually think out a tone of the color that you chose. The only reason I'm actually insisting on this is because I don't want to give the wrong message when I'm saying choose your favorite color. Because we as people, when I'm saying purple, maybe I'm thinking a different type of purple than you, and I believe playing around with the tones can actually open more ideas for your main color for your character. Once you choose your color, now we can finally take a look at the color theory. We have quite a lot of options here. Take your time to play around with colors. Maybe you're even going to find out a combination you never thought you'd like. As you can see from my own reference sheet, I actually went with a much simpler way, with a monochromatic color scheme. Of course, if you have them balls to try something more complicated, by all means do. Something like split complementary would be quite interesting. Let's move on to the second step, which is the concentration. This is also known as the top half concentration or the 40% rule. So what is concentration about? It's about keeping important information of your character visible at all times. And when I say information, I refer to the parts of the design that most characterize your VTuber. If you keep these design parts on the top half of your VTuber, people will easily identify what kind of VTuber you are. So, can you tell what kind of VTuber I am? With these eyes and this crown? Oh, and I always forget my crown hotkey. Oh, come on. Oh, there we go. Funnily enough, I actually did the research for this video after designing my own VTuber, And I respected this rule without even knowing it was a rule to begin with. It's just common sense even. People see your bust more than your lower half, so focus more on that. I would share the differences between my top half and my lower half from this perspective. However, I'm cut in half. Hey, by the way, you might want to hit that subscribe button because I will be debuting my full VTuber model later this year. If you wanna see it, of course. Thank you! Now that we have the basics, the theme, the color palette, and the top half concentration, we can finally start designing. Same rule applies here as well. Go from clothing style to accessories and then choose your colors. Don't be upset if your original ideas don't work. I initially wanted to give my character shorts because I love shorts, but I couldn't find the necessary spice to give it. So I went for a short dress instead and I worked with it. It is completely okay if you struggle. As far as I noticed, there's 3 to 5 drafts when creating your design. Feel free to experiment and try out different ideas until you click with one of them. Be flexible. Keep in mind to also focus on specific parts of the design. Narrowing down your focus can help increase creativity. Take this with a grain of salt. I'm just saying this based on my own feelings and experience. I personally really wanted some cool boots, so I took the time to draw and think out a design just for the boots. Remember, the process is all about patience and confidence. The more variants you create, the more likely you are to find the perfect balance of the design that you want. And here comes my personal advice to you. Link the clothes and accessories to your chosen theme, or at least try to make a link between them. Think of motifs or symbols that match your theme. It can definitely make the job easier. Since I went with the space theme, I chose the star theme as for some of my boot accessories as well as some of my design patterns. If you have motifs that don't necessarily align with the theme, convert them. Let's say you have an edgier type of character, but you really want to add ribbons, which are typically cute, red or pink. By the way, you'll have to excuse my model for sleeping while I'm doing this. I still can't figure out how I should position my camera when I'm drawing on my display tablet. So, if we have this problem, it's easy. Go ahead and just make it black, or give it a color that's closer to your theme. And finally, let's add some spice. Or let's say I wanted to make a ribbon and fit my space theme. Just add twists and turns whenever you can. Last but not least, feel free to inspire yourself from others. But always keep in mind, be original. Be as original as you can. And most importantly, don't get discouraged, because you're definitely going to see designs from artists that are way above you, and that's okay. Everyone grows differently. Personally, my biggest inspiration was from Fate Grand Order characters from John and John Dark Altar. I also inspired myself from the game that made me start content creation 6 years ago. I don't recommend playing this, by the way. After learning some basics and realizing that I just need to look at myself to be able to visualize a 2D version of who I am, I finally created my VTuber. From character design to drawing my VTuber model, and finally learning to rig to give myself life. We're expressing ourselves by an animated 2D avatar, instead of a real-life appearance. Here lies something that should be quite obvious, that even Ross himself mentioned in his video.
Become your character. Yes!
Ross explains here how our character is an extension of ourselves, and how this process is most often forgotten when you're creating a character. I could argue that the character itself is an extension, like Ross said. Meanwhile, our VTuber is literally our own mirror. Remember, your first design doesn't have to be complicated. We all start somewhere, and designing my VTuber took me quite a long time as well, despite her looking Pretty simple if you ask me. Don't overdo it, and especially do not force yourself. You can improve over time, and think of more alternatives and even upgrade your design as time passes. No one is pressuring you. If you're still here, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I hope I managed to give some insight and some confidence to those that are reluctant about starting their VTubing journey. If you like this video, make sure to give me a subscribe and maybe leave a like. If you have any questions or feedback, let me know in the comment section down below. And consider giving me a follow on Twitch as well. I stream weekly. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!